Hello, Telvani here, and a few days ago I released a build guide for my Spectral Helix Raider, Sentinel League Starter, which, if you haven't seen yet, I'd really recommend checking out. Ever since releasing that video, I've had a lot of players asking for an early leveling guide. With the upcoming league only a couple days away now, I thought this would be the perfect time to share one with you. But before I do, if you're watching this video, please consider subscribing, as it does mean a lot to the channel. And go ahead and hit that like button if you'd like more videos from me. Alright, so let's dive in. Just a bit of a disclaimer here, I'm not a racer by trade, as I don't play Path of Exile to min-max the first few hours of the story. However, I'm sharing with you the method I personally will be using to level Spectral Helix in 3.18, and one that I have practiced and know will work. Also, please note that this is not a full walkthrough, as that video would be several hours long. Rather, this is a list of checkpoints at which you should be picking up important skill gems. Act 1. Two households, both alike in dignity. In fair Verona where we lay our scene. From ancient grudge break to new mutiny, where civil blood makes civil hands unclean. Oh, sorry. Wrong Act 1. Kill Hillock in the Twilight Strand and proceed to enter town. Grab Ice Shot as your quest reward and link it with Pierce, replacing Burning Arrow. Continue on with the story, unlocking the Submerged Passage waypoint, and then go back and kill Hailrake in the Tidal Islands. Log out and go to town, and here you are going to want to pick up Mirage Archer, linking it with Ice Shot and Pierce. You're also going to want to pick up Dash for mobility, and Shrapnel Ballista for some additional damage. You can link Shrapnel Ballista to Pierce if you have a free Wisdom Scroll and the gem sockets for it. Continue on with the story until you've unlocked the Prison waypoint. At this point, return to town again, and grab Added Cold Damage. You'll want to equip this in an empty socket to level it up, and keep using Pierce for clearing at this point. Head back to the prison, and once you've reached the Warden's chambers, go ahead and swap out Pierce for Cold Damage, as it will give you higher single target for the Brutus fight. Keep your totems down, and you should make quick work of him. After that, return to town again, and grab Precision, your first aura that you will be using all the way through the endgame. Continue on with the story until you unlock the Cavern of Wrath waypoint. At this point, you can purchase Spectral Helix from Nessa in town, although you will need to be level 12 to use it. Also, go ahead and buy added fire damage from Nessa. So your supports for Spectral Helix at this point are going to be added cold damage and added fire damage. If you haven't managed to pick up a green-red link, you can use Pierce instead of added fire damage, as even though Spectral Helix has built-in Pierce, Pierce still grants projectile damage. While in town buying that, also be sure to grab a melee weapon. If you want to use a claw for that juicy life on hit gain, you may need to spec into Primal Spirit early in order to meet the intelligence requirements. Finally, pick up Whirling Blades for some added mobility. You'll need to keep using Ice Shot and Shrapnel Ballista until you hit level 12. Ideally, you'll have Spectral Helix for Merveil, as it makes it a lot easier. But if you're not quite level 12 yet, you can get through the fight on a bow. Alright, so we've made it into Act 2. Here we have a decision to make. We can either kill all of the bandits, or help Alira. Alira will make it a lot easier to cap resistances early on, which will lower the initial costs of our gear. However, killing bandits for 2 skill points is the endgame choice, and will save you 20 regrets when you are in maps. There really isn't a wrong choice here, so just go with whatever you think will make your life easier. Alright, the next gem to look out for in this act is Herald of Ice, available at level 16. This gives us some much needed added flat cold damage to our Spectral Helix. This becomes available after killing Fidelitas in the Chamber of Sins, so that should be your first stop in Act 2. After that, elemental damage with attacks and faster attacks become available at level 18, after we have killed the Weaver in her chambers. Faster attacks will be linked with Whirling Blades to increase our mobility, and elemental damage with attacks will replace added fire damage in our Spectral Helix link. There's not much else to say about Act 2, so continue on with the story and kill the Vault Oversoul in the Ancient Pyramid up here. Alright, Act 3. 4 socket items can start dropping in these areas, so try to keep an eye out for a red linked item to run Spectral Helix in. Make your way over to the crematorium and fight Piety for the very first time. Return to town after she flees, and pick up Assassin's Mark and Hatred. You probably won't have enough mana to run Hatred, Precision, and Herald of Ice, and you probably won't have enough intelligence for Assassin's Mark initially. But, if you wanted to, you could grab this wheel early on, and potentially run both. There's not much else to note in this act until Ciosa, so continue on your way with the story until you reach the library. Once you help Ciosa, you will have access to a lot of skill gems. You'll want to try and grab Inspiration to link with Spectral Helix, as it is an amazing gem that lowers the cost, increases the crit chance, and increases the elemental damage of the skill. You'll also be able to buy Molten Shell and Ancestral Protector at this time. Personally, I would also grab Determination, as it makes you quite survivable during the story. However, if you'd rather opt for more damage, you can forego it and keep running Hatred. The decision is up to you. And there you have it, an early leveling guide for Spectral Helix. At this point, you should be pretty well set up for the rest of the campaign. But I do have a few more tips for you guys. The PoE does have leveling trees, giving you a rough guideline of what skill points to take and when. Although, as I've mentioned in this video, you may need to be a little flexible with it if you want to run certain skills or weapons early on. Secondly, remember to upgrade your weapon as you go. I cannot stress this enough. High tier weapons inherently have higher flat physical damage on them, which will get converted via our passive tree and Trim Sorrow. Higher item level weapons have access to higher tiers of flat elemental damage. So a weapon found in Act 2 could potentially give you double the damage when compared to a weapon you had from Act 1. Essences found early on can be a great resource for upgrading your weapons, as you can throw them on the highest tier weapon you have available from the shops in town. Next, I probably wouldn't start running a Nightblade setup until you have your 6-link Tabula and your White Wind, as Nightblade support is heavily reliant on crit chance, which you probably won't have until you have the dagger nodes on the tree and 6 links for increased critical strike chance. And don't worry about the Creeping Frost setup until you've got your White Wind, as it only buffs cold damage. So if you're still using whatever high elemental DPS weapon you've picked up off the ground, chances are it's got a mix of elements and won't really benefit that much from a Creeping Frost Bone Chill setup. Finally, I know a lot of people hate it, myself included, but running even just a few heists around Act 9 or 10 before completing the campaign can be a great way to make just a little bit of currency to buy the items you'll need to start running maps. So that's it for today. Let me know down in the comments below if there are any other videos you'd like to see me make. Thank you for watching, good luck with your league, and I'll see you in the next one.